Namaskara, the South Indian is here. You know, even as we're all getting ready to welcome the new year, the rule generally is to forget the past, all the bad things in the past, and also try and improve in the brand new year. That's my wish, at least for Bengaluru, which is my top story today on this show. You know, every time Bengaluru is violated, we rue over the fact that if this can happen to the so-called Silicon Valley of India, the IT hub, then is there hope at all? I mean, whether it is unseasonal rains, pothole deaths, and in the latest, the violence which began on 27 December as activists belonging to the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike or KRV vandalized English signboards and hoardings of business establishments across Bengaluru. Their demand was the implementation of a 60% Kannada rule on all signboards across shops and other establishments. And for those of us who do not know, the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike or KRV is the self-proclaimed protector of all things related to the Kannada language, and they have a slogan: Kannada is caste, Kannada is religion, and Kannada is God. So it's basically Kannada which actually obliterates every other impediment so far as Kannadigas are concerned. The language debate became shrill in the city when on Christmas Day, the BBMP issued a directive that all shops should display signboards with at least 60% of content in Kannada. What is more, Chief Commissioner of BBMP Tushar Girinath also added that there shall be legal consequences if commercial establishments fail to comply with the signboard order. Apparently, he had set the deadline somewhere towards early January, that's what sources are telling us, for this change to take place. But then, members of KRV just could not wait and decided to attack shops and malls and other establishments which hadn't yet changed their signboards to 60% Kannada. The group had set 27 December as the deadline for this order to come into place, and thus began the protest and vandalism. After one whole day of Bengaluru being knocked out of shape at many places like Sadahalli toll gate towards the city, also Chikkajala and even the Kempegowda airport area, the police detained around 500 protesters, including the faction's chief T.A. Narayanagowda. The latest is that the BBMP has extended the deadline to 28 February, allowing businesses time to comply with the norms. Following the violence in Bengaluru, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah issued a statement, and even while supporting the 60% Kannada in signboards rule, he said, and I am quoting him here, I don't know why that is the protesters are doing. I have got information that Narayanagowda is protesting about having Kannada name boards. We will take action against those who took the law into their own hands and went against the law. That is what Siddaramaiah said. Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar also added his voice to the issue, and he said, it is the responsibility of all of us to protect our language. I have a lot of respect for Kannada activists, but the government won't tolerate if they take law into their own hands. We are all Kannadigas and our government is also committed to its cause. The Chief Minister has sent out a very clear instruction to use Kannada in government documents. The Kannada activists have the right to protest peacefully, but not violently. As of now, the gin is back in the bottle. But what do such incidents mean for a city which is a melting pot? There are lots of people from different states who live and work there. Several languages are spoken there: Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, Tulu, lots of languages. And do you know what Union Minister and Karnataka MP Prahlad Joshi said about the issue? Very senior minister. He said, everybody should be able to read the signs and not everyone can read English. What is the harm in writing in Kannada as well as in English or another language like Hindi? This is not England. So he supports Hindi, but he says that no English, and he says this is not England. In very, very, interesting. There are nuances to this entire story. Let me, of course, introduce you to the experts today on the show, and some of them will join us late. But as of now, I'm joined by Satyaprakash ji, who's spokesperson for the KPCC, and also joining us is Sanjay Agarwal, former president, PhD CCI. I am also waiting for other guests to join me, and we shall see that how best and early we can get them on board. Namaskara and a very warm welcome to both of you. Mr. Agarwal, what we saw for the past 2 days, and it's continuing in some way or the other, is a very ugly sight for a city which is the IT hub, which is called the Silicon Valley of India. I have read a lot of statements from Retailers Association, from people who actually, conduct businesses. They said, don't we deserve a little bit of peace in this city? What is this? Vandalizing malls, defacing, shops and other establishments, generally, introducing fear into a city. Your first comment on this, Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you, ma'am. As a chamber representing the trade and industry all over the country, my first reaction is any such act, and I would call it an act of vandalism, and an act of, in fact, inducing terror or fear into the minds of those conducting their businesses peacefully, is absolutely condemnable. I think we are all citizens of India and we have every right to conduct our business in a peaceful manner in anywhere in our country. We also, of course, have a duty to respect the local sentiments in whichever area we operate in. And at the same time, we have a duty to also understand that we are a country of many languages and many cultures, and
I think we've lost
necessary that a person who does not belong to Karnataka would be able to understand a Kannadiga board, because even the script probably is not similar to the script that some of the other state people belonging to some other states would be familiar with. So at best, what we have to do is we have to try and find a fair way in which the local language is adequately represented, and at the same time, those who are not conversant with the local language, or even if conversant with the local language but not the local script, they should also be able to understand what is written on the signboards. In any case, a mob of gangsters, and that is what I would call them, a mob of gangsters taking control of a regulation by the state government and vandalizing business establishments is most reprehensible. I think it destroys the atmosphere of peace and tranquility in one of the most important commercial cities in India. It's a tech city. It's the Silicon Valley of India, and to allow such elements to run free would be very, very bad. I don't think it should be allowed at all.
Very well said as opening comments. Satyaprakash, I'm coming to you, sir. And I want to ask you that if you remember in October, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, he was speaking at an event organized by the Department of Kannada and Culture, on the occasion of 50th year of renaming Mysuru state as Karnataka. He said we need to create an environment where Kannada is indispensable in the state. He said that although Kannada has been the official language, negligence might have been the main reason behind non-implementation of Kannada in the administration. Now, why I read this out is that I find it very strange that Mr. Agarwal minced no words and said it's reprehensible, but I see that both Chief Minister as well as Deputy Chief Minister, they both said, and there are official comments, that even as we support Kannada activists, we think that groups should not to resort to violence. Don't you see that somewhere the messaging is all confused when it comes from both the government, particularly the government and the party, sir?
Hi Sudhaji. First
Hi.
of all, Sirigannadam Gelge, Sirigannadam Balge. Victory to Golden Kannada, and Kannada is eternal in the state of Karnataka. In Karnataka, Kannada de Sarvabhauma. In Karnataka, Kannada will thrive. Okay. we need to understand that, Bengaluru has development, has inclusiveness. It is a silicon city, as you rightly said. Now all techies are coming. That's on one side. But still, if these things, it's okay that, it's a silicon city of the India, and all the companies across the world look at brand Bengaluru as a silicon city. But we cannot compromise with our ethos. If our language is at risk, our culture is at risk, there is a cultural invasion which is happening. We cannot, that's not okay for the government too. And government has to strike a very fine balance that on one side, it has to make sure that the law and order should not take a hit. On the other side, it also has to protect the the regional identity of the people of Karnataka, the language, its ethos, and its culture.
What is this cultural invasion, Satyaprakash ji? What is cultural invasion, sir? I didn't understand that bit.
Cultural invasion means Karnataka is very specific, in the Deccan Plateau, it is in the center. There is infestation from the other southern states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Goa. We share border with all these states.
Okay.
We share border with Tamil Nadu, we share border with Kerala too. Okay, that's on one side. Lot of people from linguistic people from all these states, southern states also come and pour into Bangalore.
Then
there is a huge influx from Hindi heartland also, and from the people from the east also, like Orissa, West Bengal and all.
Bihar.
Bangalore has become the hub of IT activity.
Which is a good thing, no?
It's a good thing. It's okay. We are not stopping it. But when you are doing this, our regional aspirations should not take a hit. No, our own language should not be a dying language.
But there is a constitution we all live by, and which allows me to work in any place. I can go work in Goa, I can go work in Punjab, anywhere. I mean, who are you people to decide, cultural invasion, they are all coming here. I mean, come on. And I'm going to put up a tweet by two people, and both these are icons when it comes to Karnataka. Can I ask you to put up the? I'll go back to Satyaprakash ji in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
One is Mohandas Pai. He has also tweeted. He says that how can police not stop such violence and vandalism? Why is our Minister for Bengaluru, D.K. Shivakumar, on whom we have high hopes, quiet? We need confidence boosting measures from the government. This is Mohandas Pai. He is an icon when it comes to IT. Also, Kiran Majumdar Shah, basically not a Kannadiga, but more Kannadiga than most. This soft-handed approach by police is very troubling. These are professional paid vandals. It is obvious. D.K. Shivakumar, please take action and keep our city safe. That's what she writes. These two people, and Kiran Majumdar Shah runs Biocon, which is a very, very successful business enterprise. She has antecedents in Gujarat, if I am not wrong. But she is more Kannadiga than most people. These people have added to your economy and to your, to your revenues. So, what cultural invasion are we talking about, sir?
We need to understand that economics is on one side. No one stops from anyone coming into Karnataka and doing business. All are welcome. That is why today most of the highest investments come into Bangalore. More than 60% of the total service revenues in this country comes from Karnataka, if you see. We are not stopping that. That's okay. But cultural invasion, if our language is getting hit, our people are getting hit.
Where is it getting hit? Why are you so insecure? Kannada is a great language. Why? I mean, 60%. We'll come to also, Satyaprakash ji, that 60% of those signages have to be in Kannada, like it is maybe in different states. I do not know. But this entire paranoia, what is this paranoia all about? I don't understand this.
The paranoid is, you look at Bangalore, okay? There are so many reports which has come that over the last two or three decades, the number of Kannada speaking people in Bangalore is getting decreased day by day, okay? People from Karnataka also are speaking other languages instead of protecting their own language. See, these languages, Kannada is one of the oldest languages in this country, and we need to protect it. Ronald Reagan says freedom cannot be passed on through the genes to the generation next. Every generation of
All
the
right.
day
I
has
have
to
to
fight
go.
for it, protect it,
Yeah.
so that we pass on to the next generation.
All right.
Similarly,
I've also
all
been.
the
Yeah,
Kannadigas
Satyaji,
should
I'll
protect
come to you.
Kannada, so that the future
Yeah.
generations have
Yeah.
Kannada for them.
Satya Prakash ji, if the young people or others are speaking other languages, first of all, it's a matter of choice. You say Kannada is one of the oldest languages. I am a Tamil. It is even older than Kannada, and I speak 7 Indian languages. We make it our business to speak. I mean, Kannada also, it was one of my languages. I still speak it. But the point is that you cannot blame others for the depletion of your language. If my children are not speaking Tamil, it's my fault. I am the mother tongue. Bhaskar Rao, former Commissioner of Police, Bangalore, and BJP leader is also joining us now. Mr. Rao, thank you so much. We were waiting for you. Mr. Rao, I have been reading what you've been saying in the newspapers. But the point is, Mr. Rao, let me request you that please do not, speak like an ex-cop that you are. Don't you think this is what you see on your screens right now, Mr. Rao, is the complete failure of the police? State law and order is a state subject. The government somewhere was completely a silent spectator when all these so-called activists of KRV ran amok and broke and vandalized the city, Mr. Rao.
I fully agree with you that for 4 hours there was no law and order. And I don't endorse violence or vandalism or destruction of property in the name of any cause. I make it very, very clear. But I also have to tell you something in the same breath, that the government of the day, why did it not allow the police to act? The same police force has acted so swiftly and so fast in curbing so many issues and so many problems nipping in the bud. The government has completely failed to handle an emotional issue. They should have anticipated that this is going to happen over there. They should have known about it. They should have known about it. They should have known about it. Hello?
Yeah, go on. They should have known about it, and also
there is a police station intelligence, there is a divisional level intelligence, there is a city intelligence, there is a state level. Did they all not know that hundreds of people are going to storm the streets and create mayhem over there? If so, why was the hands of the police tied down over there?
absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah, no government can be absolved, Mr. Rao. No government can be absolved when the police stands as silent, spectators. You can't.
Yeah.
The Congress government is fully culpable. When I say culpable, let me be very careful. I don't mean they were involved. I just think that they were completely inefficient. Mr. Agarwal?
Absolutely inefficient, incompetent. What was the Honorable Home Minister doing? Is he not kept briefed by all his people at different levels that what is going on in the city, and that too, is this the brand Bangalore which Congress wants to bring about over here?
And which Deputy Chief Minister talks about brand Bengaluru. Yeah, Mr. Rao, just hold your thought there. Let me get Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, I want to, talk about these. I mean, can we put up those visuals on the screen of vandalization, so that the viewers get a perspective? These are the visuals. Look how dangerous they look. Mr. Agarwal, the thing is that when all these goons, when all these lumpens came to several places and did what they did in the name of preserving Kannada, is this the way you preserve Kannada? My God, it's a shame. But Mr. Agarwal, did you have any inkling? Just describe as to what you had to go through. I'm sure that you've had several meetings, or maybe you've heard. I heard that in certain malls people ran inside out of fear, they hid themselves in washrooms, etc. So describe, did you even have an inkling? Did you call the police? Because you have in several malls, at least not in shops, but malls, they have their own security mechanism as well, Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I am based out of New Delhi.
Okay.
And of course, we have a large number of our members from Karnataka and from Bengaluru also. And we are getting certain reports about some of the reports about how bad the situation was created because of this vandalism. And the main point is the government or even the ruling party should not be making such statements which tend to aggravate the situation. And there should not be an indirect encouragement to such lumpen elegance that is happening. That on one hand, let us assume that it is happening. Let us assume that the language, Kannada language, is under threat in some manner. Even then, is the riots, is this sort of violence when it is happening, is this the time to be saying such things? Does it not amount to actually encouraging such elements? That is one. Secondly, Bengaluru is a city which has made a name for itself on the strength of the ingenuity, on the strength of the intelligence, on the strength of the hard work of its residents. And whether those residents are Kannadigas or some of them from outside also, it really doesn't matter. They are all Indians. But the civic amenities in the city are in a very bad shape. We all know that. But the same government, which should be spending money on improving the civic amenities, is actually, I've read a statement somewhere that 14,000 kilometers of roads and side roads will be surveyed on a priority basis to find out where all 60% Karnataka rule is applicable or not. So is this the way one expects the government of the day also to be encouraging the economy, the state, and the actual I would say even the employment opportunities for the youth for the residents in the state?
I know, and very well said, Mr. Agarwal, because a lot of people who are working there, and I've been reading reports, they love Bengaluru. Bengaluru has always been an extremely super safe city. But suddenly, if this kind of nationalism, so-called artificial nationalism comes into play, there will be, insecurities. Ms. Satyaprakash ji, would you want to first respond to what Mr. Bhaskar Rao said, or, because you were smiling.
Bhaskar Rao is a good friend of mine, and his transition from being a super cop to a politician is not, I'm not able to see it because he is telling exactly opposite of what he said when he was a police commissioner. Okay. The state has its intelligence. The state has acted, Mr. Bhaskar Rao. I would like to tell him that 52 or 55 people have been apprehended. The KRV president himself has threatened the Congress government, that we will have a look, we will see how you will get our vote in 2024. These are the problems that the government faces, and we have to walk a very tight rope.
Yeah, Mr. Satyaprakash.
If anyone points fingers at Bengaluru has been a very tolerant city. You all should understand that. Okay, you all should also understand Jo Dikta wo Bikta. Today you go across Bangalore. Let us be fair let us keep this vandalism aside. No one will support this vandalism. You go across the city of Bangalore. 90%, 95% English. They put that Kannada word somewhere, and when each and every establishment goes to BBMP for a trade license, according to the Shops and Establishment Act, they themselves give a declaration saying that we will abide by the rules set by the BBMP, where 60% Kannada has to come. Why have these guys flouted the rule of the land? Forget these Kannada activists. They are wrong. We have arrested 55 of them. Now, is ignorance a bliss? Why have these people, from when have the KRV started blackening the boards? If for last 10 years they are doing it, Sudhaji. They have to be fair, Sudhaji. You also were in Bangalore. For how long these activists have been blackening the boards? Why have these shops and all the malls not been law-abiding citizens of the city?
So what is BBMP doing? Sleeping? What is BBMP doing? Is it sleeping?
Okay. That means the conscience of the citizen is not there to follow the rule of the land. Okay, BBMP is sleeping. That means all these shopkeepers, all these establishments, all these businessmen have no conscience to follow the rule of the land.
Then what about KR? Conscience is a very, I'm sorry, outdated concept now. We live in Kali Yuga, so let's talk about rules.
I don't know.
What is BBMP doing?
It is a very parliamentary language that I have used.
No, what is BBMP doing in the first place if it's not able to? I think I'll have to take a break. Is that right, guys? All right. So, to all of you, Mr. Agarwal, Satyaprakash ji and Mr. Rao, I'm taking a break and I'm coming right back. So please, ladies and gents, do stay with us. The South Indian will be back.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bengaluru city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bengaluru should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Yes, the scale of the attack surprised us. When you get a series of alerts, 16 intelligence alerts, if Maharashtra government at that time had alerted the Coast Guard and the Navy, this 2611 would not have happened at all.
And one of the details they had planned was to use these dhagas to mislead the investigative agencies.
All this was to be presented as a Hindu terror.
So it was a Pakistan operation. The LET was the front end.
As the attacks were on, it was clear that they were planned and launched from Pakistani territory.
For all of those victims of terror that was exported from Pakistan over the years, including but not limited to 2611.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. The South Indian is here after a short break. We're discussing what happened in Bangalore, the fight for 60% in Kannada about the signboards, and we are joined here by certain experts, Satya Prakash, who's spokesperson for KPCC, then also joined by Sanjay Agarwal, former president of PHDCCI, and also joining us on the phone line is Bhaskar Rao, who is of course now a BJP leader but former Commissioner of Police, Bangalore. Before we took a break, Satyaprakash was talking about conscience of those who are, people who run commercial establishments as to why in the first place they do not abide by the law. Mr. Agarwal, would you like to take that question before I go to Mr. Bhaskar Rao as to what Satyaprakash ji said, that why is it that the shopkeepers or those who run businesses, they don't abide by the law of having lettering in Kannada, 60% of it, in Kannada when it comes to signages, as it were?
I think Satyaprakash ji, what he's saying is correct, that it's not only in Bengaluru, but I think across India, whichever city you go, you will find that majority of the signboards are in English language, and a very small space is given to the local language, or the language of the state. And yes, this is not a problem, as I said, peculiar to Bangalore or Karnataka, but I think it's something, whether we call it a problem or not, there is an advantage also in signboards being in English, in the sense that English ultimately is the language which is understood by almost, the largest number of people in our country.
True, it's a connecting language.
Whereas any other language has a certain number of people who do understand it. Even Hindi cannot claim the same status as English.
No.
Because there is still a number of people who do not understand or not able to read Hindi, at least. Even if they can understand spoken Hindi to some extent, they can't probably read Hindi. So that being the case, we have to find what is the right balance. We should not be saying that in India, all the local languages or the local script should be totally missing, which is not fair at all. At the same time, we have also to understand that there is a national, marketplace also, which understands a common branding. Now, any brand, for example, cannot have its branding in 28 different scripts. Every brand would ultimately end up having one logo in one language, which is English. Thereafter, in every city, in every state, one would have, one should have legible and clearly, visible local language, which is also fine. But I think this is a matter also to an extent between, to be settled between the local authorities and the businessmen.
Exactly, but this is not the way. I totally agree with you, Mr. Agarwal, that maybe they should abide by the rules which they haven't abided by, but this is not the way to handle it. I do not know what about these custodians of Kannada language and Kannadiga pride. You can't possibly jump onto it, and everyone, all the political parties do it, and clearly for electoral gains. It's very clear. They may just pay lip service, because I'm sorry, both Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister say, oh, we are not against Kannada activists, but this is not the way. Why are you this? These are not Kannada activists. They are bringing you bad name. They are bringing you shame. I think it's time that you do it. Mr. Bhaskar Rao, I'll go to Satyaprakash ji in a bit, but Mr. Bhaskar Rao, are you with us? Hello? Mr. Rao, tell me something. Who's the custodian of Kannadiga pride, sir? Of Kannadiga, this Kannada pride?
Pride.
Sorry?
The people of Karnataka are the custodian of Kannada pride.
Right. So why are politicians interfering into it? What about this fringe group, KRV? Then also your senior leader Prahalad Joshi ji has said this is not England. He's also said the Congress is also talking about it.
People of Karnataka are the custodian of their culture and pride.
Right.
And language is a very, very sensitive issue. See, I'll tell you, all those people who have been offended are those who have come from outside and they feel very threatened by this kind of gestures. Yes, I agree with this, because they don't understand the local language. But what I am surprised is that, see, when we go to Delhi, do we not learn the local language? I myself grown up in North India. I stayed there for almost close to 20 years. I learned Hindi, I spoke in Hindi, and did everything in Hindi over there. When you come here, when you invest over here, why are you not having regard for the local language, local culture? Here
what is regard? What is regard? Mr. Rao, what is regard?
If If you listen to me, I'll tell you.
Tell.
Toyota company has got a policy of recruiting a lot of local people. Then they celebrate Karnataka festivals over there. They celebrate Vajotsava and they gel well with the local culture over there. So, if you keep on putting English and Hindi and dumping it on people of Karnataka, there is going to be resentment. Time has come in Bangalore where we have to talk in Hindi to get our work done. When you talk in Kannada in Bangalore, they say, Kannada gottilla, Kannada malum nahi. If I had to listen to this in Karnataka, where else should I go and speak in Kannada over there?
Yeah. My experience is different. I see a North Indian man in Bengaluru and I say, Hindi mein baat karenge, he says, nange Kannada gottu. So see, there are different strokes for different folks. Sir, I am not saying mother tongue is very sensitive. It's mother tongue. I do understand. But this is not the way to preserve, and all you political parties are doing the same thing. Mr. Satyaprakash, you wanted to come in, sir. Please.
Please. Okay. See, you were saying what regards these people should have for Karnataka and people of Kannada when Mr. Bhaskar Rao was speaking. The regards they should have is very, very simple. Kannadigas and Karnataka has given them land, has given them environment, has given them infrastructure, has given them power, has given free land also for a lot of corporates. Okay? And what are we asking? What are we asking? We are asking them, give our language where you are doing business its due. Because jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. If agar English dikha to English bikta hai, agar Kannada dikha to Kannada bikta hai. Very simple. And I am going to give a small story. Please allow me, don't interrupt. I was seeing a video in Goa beaches where all the establishments in shop owners in Karnataka are educated people. In Goa beaches, uneducated women flow to sell their ornaments, beads and all, no? They speak English. They are uneducated. They speak Portuguese if that customer wants. And they speak the local language Goan. When uneducated women flow can speak the language which of that land, what stops from just putting a board? We are not asking don't use English, use English. But have some regard for the local language which has given you so much.
Well, I completely agree with you, but I do not know if regard is what we see on the screen. Then it's better that this kind of regard should be rejected by all the political parties. Kannada is a beautiful language and all the habbas, all the festivals should be celebrated by people. That's what India is all about. I mean, why have we become so insecure and rather insular? But as of now, thank you very much. I've completely run out of time. Mr. Agarwal, thank you. Mr. Satyaprakash ji, thank you very much for joining us. And Mr. Bhaskar Rao, it was such a pleasure to have you on our show. Story number 2 that we are going to take up in a moment from now. Welcome back. The South Indian is here, of course, and you know, joyous occasions, celebrations, parties, being with your friends, being with your family, all is just fine. And that's what we should all be doing, even as the year is ending. But we cannot possibly lose sight of the fact that all of us have to stay safe. And therefore, I decided that ahead of the new year, I shall bring you up to speed on what is the COVID situation in our country, in India. Now, ahead of the celebrations, the country is witnessing rather a rise in COVID-19 cases. India has reported 157 cases of the new JN.1 subvariant. Of these, 36 of the JN.1 variant were reported from Gujarat. Number 2 is Karnataka at 34, 14 from Goa, 9 from Maharashtra, 6 from Kerala, 4 from Rajasthan, 4 from Tamil Nadu and 2 from Telangana. The active infection count has now dropped to 4,091 with 797 fresh cases recorded in the past 24 hours. 5 new deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. 2 deaths were reported in Kerala, while Maharashtra, Puducherry and Tamil Nadu recorded 1 death each. The number of daily cases had dropped to double digits till 5th of December, but infections have again risen after the emergence of a new variant and cold weather conditions. So look, I am not trying to depress you at all. All I am saying is that you need to remain safe and you need to know that there is a new subvariant which is doing the rounds, and all of us should just mask up and enjoy ourselves. And before this South Indian says goodbye, there is something that you should not miss. This is the News9 Plus special documentary. Remember in 1985, Air India 182 was bombed by Khalistani terrorists, killing all the passengers? 38 years later, will Canada allow history to repeat itself? Hope not. Enjoy that documentary, and with that, the South Indian says, Vanakkam, Namaskaram, Namaskara.